Hello everyone, welcome to my table, and today we're starting something new on the channel, a new series called the Essence and Encounters. This is where I look through the new 2024 Monster Manual and talk about the creatures inside, what they do, and how you can run encounters for them, as well as some of their history. There are many ways to run a creature, and I wish to give you some extra ways to run them and maybe some fun little things to add to your encounters. Today we're looking at the first stat block in the new book, and that is the Aarakocra. The Aarakocra are bird people who normally live on the interdimensional plane of air and serving people called the Wind Dukes of Aga. That's a weird name. I'm putting you back. However, they can be found on the material plane where most campaigns are set, high up in mountains or on mountain tops. They often are found in colonies of about 30 of their kind, run by an elder of the group who, for flavor, I usually call the Colonel. Because, you know. These colonies have a large nest with no roof, usually being very open. The nests usually split off by gender roles as well, where the males go off to fight, hunt, gather, and whatever they need to do, while the women stay home and watch over the eggs, weave useful items, and make stuff like spears and swords. As well, they have a tendency to use spears, staffs, and claws, so if you're thinking about giving them an option for attacking, javelins or spears would be your best option. Aarakocra come from the first edition of D&D, first being enemies that you fight, before becoming a playable race in the same edition later through the Wings of Eagles Dragon 124 expansion. They then came back in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th edition, only not being a playable race in 4th edition at some point. Because of this, they can also be wildly customized. You can have a normal eagle or crow Aarakocra or make them look like a raven or a hummingbird. As long as it's a bird, you can shape its feathers. Just make sure you know how to fry it properly. Now we'll look at the two stat blocks in the book and how to run them in the D&D 5e setting. There are Aarakocra Skirmishers and the Aarakocra Aeromancers. The Skirmishers are where we're going to start off because it's a more simpler stat block and something you most likely run more for lower level parties. The Skirmisher is a medium elemental, which is weird. I would have thought they were beasts because bird, but they come from the elemental plane of air, so it makes sense. They are of a neutral alignment, They have an AC of 12, HP of 11, a walking speed of 20, and a fly speed of 50, and they have a +2 to initiative. They also have a 10 in strength, a 14 in dexterity, a 12 in constitution, 11 in intelligence, a wisdom of 12, and a charisma of 11. They also have an extra +5 to their perception rolls with a passive perception of 15. They also speak their own Aarakocra language, which is full of clicks and a little bit of Ka!
Oh no!
And as well as Primordial, the elemental language. And they are a CR of 1/4, making them very good for early level parties. They have both a Talons and a Javelin attack, and their Talon attacks can deal more damage if it moves 30 feet beforehand, which is pretty easy with its 50 foot of flying speed. And the Javelin returns to its hand after being thrown for an attack. They are worthy birds! And this would be the base Aarakocra you would run, who are somehow worthy to wield the Spear of Mjolnir. I know that's not how you pronounce it. It's a joke. It's a joke, I promise. It was a misinput. Now, the Aeromancer is a bit more complicated, with being a more difficult mage than just a ground or, well, sky soldier. It has an AC of 16, 66 health, a walking speed of 20, and a flying speed of 50 feet, just like the Skirmisher. They have a 10 in strength, a 16 in dexterity, a 12 in constitution, intelligence of 13, a wisdom of 17, and a charisma of 12. They have a +3 to Arcana, a +5 to Nature, and a whopping +7 to Perception, making their passive perception a 17. They also speak the Aarakocra language and Primordial, and they are a CR4, so they're going to be a little bit tougher to fight. Unlike the Skirmisher, which is kind of odd, the Aeromancer has multi-attack, meaning that it can attack twice per turn. It has a Windstaff attack that deals 1d8 +3 damage, plus an extra 2d10 lightning damage, and he can swing it twice per turn. I feel like I got something for this. I got a staff. This'll work. Need a prop. They also have spellcasting, which gives them some spells to cast instead of attacking, such as Elementalism, Mage Hand, Message, and Gust of Wind. And once a day, give them the cast of Lightning Bolt. Zzz. Lastly, they can cast Featherfall once a day as using a reaction. Now we've gone through the stat blocks, we can now talk about encounters for these guys. Most encounters for Aarakocras have to deal with flying as the main focus of the fight. Whether your players have abilities to fly or not, they'll have to be creative to get them out of the air and get them down on ground level. You can't cut off the head of a chicken without catching it first. Here's what I have in store for you, a story and a plot hook, as well as an encounter for the Aarakocra. This encounter is for a party of 5 level 4 adventurers. The Golden Claw. a group of mercenaries that have made their home in the nearby Crown Mountains. This group is made up of Aarakocra that have rebelled against their servitude against the Wind Dukes, wishing to make their own place in the world of the material plane. However, they've been doing this in underhanded ways, coming here without coin or resources. They had to take refuge in the mountains, building a large nest for their clan. They have taken up mercenary work for whatever coin pays the highest, moral or no. To survive, they come down once a month from the crown to check the capital's bounty boards and take the highest paying job. Recently, they took a job out on a high roller from the local betting house, someone who owed 40 gold pieces, willing to pay the mercenaries half the gold the man owes to get the payment from him. There are many ways this quest can be started. The one I would use is the man himself, the target of the hit, to ask the adventurers to stop the Golden Claw from coming after him. Your party of adventurers can have many options, but we'll start with confronting the Golden Claw. They can get into Crown Mountain by finding the base, going through survival and nature checks, go find feathers or tracks that leads them to the nest. When found, 5 Aarakocra will show up to confront the party, 1 Aeromancer and 4 Skirmishers. The Aeromancer will be their leader, their Elder Oska, and she will talk to the party. This talk can be done to either convince them not to take the quest, which can be done with persuasion or intimidation, convince them to take the man alive, gathering from their religion or persuasion, or they can end up in a combat scenario if they use deception or intimidation. For example, let's say this goes into combat. You have a Warlock, Cleric, Fighter, Wizard, and Monk, all at level 4. In this case, a battle broke out, and so the battle map will look like this. Now, the Aarakocra Skirmishers are more likely to fly around using their 50-foot flying speed to their advantage, attacking and then ducking out of the way. So for the party, they're going to have to deal with flying creatures. Now, most classes have a long-range option of some kind, the Warlock most likely having Eldritch Blast, the Fighter most likely having a bow, the Cleric most likely having Guiding Bolt or Command, and the Wizard having a wide variety of spells, and the Monk maybe having darts. However, those options aside from the Eldritch Blast are limited, so they might try to be creative. The Monk does an investigation check on his turn since he rolled the highest on initiative, and sees towards the back of the nest there is clutches of Aarakocra eggs. The Monk runs over and uses them as leverage to get the Aarakocra to come down to his level, because throwing a javelin can cause too much risk of scrambling the eggs. Don't forget to mix them with some onions and some pepper and some salt. Asuka might see that they are outmatched if more eggs get damaged or the Aarakocra and her clan start going down. The party can have mercy or end the story of the Golden Claw here, either making a stringent ally or a mortal enemy that can come back later in the campaign. And that's it. That's the Aarakocra stat block. An encounter for them and your party. This of course can be adjusted by adding more enemies or lowering the amount of enemies there is. But just know the creativity of your party is the true juice that makes the adventure taste great. And that's it. I would like to thank my patrons, Zerktree News, Nix Hunter, and Vixenville. Now, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Support your local game shop, enjoy your adventures, and roll safely. Safe travels!